say she's negative, but her doctor called her positive. Fox 6 investigator Brian Polson shows you why one COVID-19 patient is threatening to sue over what she calls a fake diagnosis.
I want that changed. I don't want that in my chart.
When Pam Schenecker left the hospital last month, a doctor said she was infected with COVID-19 and told her to quarantine.
Hi, my name is Pam.
4 days later, she was protesting in Madison.
In today's world, we are told to believe the science. Why then did this doctor choose to ignore the science?
She wasn't worried about spreading the virus because she's convinced the doctor was wrong.
I'm not a COVID patient, should have never been labeled one.
Schenecker has asthma. And every spring, she says allergies make it worse. But this year, there was an added fear.
Gosh, could it be the coronavirus?
So when her breathing trouble became a medical emergency on April 16th, she drove to a hospital in Columbus, Wisconsin, where she was swabbed for COVID-19.
It goes way up your nose.
The results were negative.
It was kind of touch and go all night long.
The next morning, they tested her again, this time for a host of other coronaviruses. Still negative. But 2 days later, the doctor ordered a third test.
And this time he's head to toe in his PPE completely. And he goes, I am absolutely convinced you have COVID-19.
Once again, it was negative. So why did the doctor say she was positive?
I don't know. I really don't know. Is it because hospitals receive more money and the doctor labels you COVID-19?
Schenecker has taken that question to Madison.
What the hell is going on?
And conservative talk radio.
Because of this COVID-19 diagnosis, I can't even see my primary care doctor.
But in a phone call she recorded, Dr. Sam Poser offered an unusual explanation.
There was a Broadway star that he got the pneumonia, he got the whole thing.
Broadway actor Nick Cordero tested negative for COVID-19 twice before a third test came up positive. On April 18th, news broke that his leg was being amputated due to COVID-19 complications. The next morning, April 19th, Dr. Poser ordered Schenecker to get a third nasal swab.
I said, why? I go, why are you so sure of that? I've had 2 tests that were done. And he said, well, I want you to Google this Broadway star.
He said the same thing.
If you remember reading about a Broadway star.
To the Fox 6 investigators.
The swab tests that have been done have been not only very painful, but not particularly accurate.
One expert we talked to says otherwise.
Even if you have one copy of the COVID-19 RNA on the swab, the test will pick it up and show you as positive. Dr.
Jeff Potoff is Chief Quality Officer for UW Health, and he says the odds of a false negative are low, maybe 2 out of 100.
In order to be, in that group of 2 times in a row, 3 times in a row, those are getting to be pretty slim odds that you're actually positive at that point.
Is this really just a matter of judgment?
Sometimes you have to go by the clinical presentation.
Dr. Poser recalls Schenecker having classic symptoms like a loss of smell, something she says never happened.
Classic COVID symptoms are fever, sore throat, a cough that won't go away. Not one time while I was hospitalized did I had any of those.
Schenecker believes it was nothing more than aggravated asthma, and she wonders if cases like hers are inflating the state's numbers.
I know that there's a lot of other people out there that are just like me.
That would be an exceedingly rare situation.
If anything, Dr. Potoff says the state is undercounting cases, but it's hard to blame Schenecker for being skeptical of the math.
They're all negative.
That somehow turned 3 negatives into a positive. Schenecker lives in Green Lake County, and the hospital is located in Columbia County. She says she's talked to both county health departments, and neither one of them has received any positive test results related to her hospitalization. Dr. Poser tells me he didn't report his positive diagnosis to the county. In the end, that means her positive diagnosis is not among the state's statewide COVID totals. Brian Polson, Fox 6 Investigators.
It wasn't until Fox 6 News was interviewing Pam Schenecker at her home in Marquezan that we learned the name of the doctor, and that's when we discovered Dr. Sam Poser has a relative who works at Fox 6 News. As soon as we became aware of that relationship, we took steps to ensure that employee played no part in this ongoing investigation.